All right, welcome to Calling the Audible. It's your boy Iggy Magnets here. We are entering what is it? Week 7, week 8. I'm losing track. I believe it's week 8 of the FPF winter season. Welcome to the show. On today's show, we're going to have a special guest for Division 6 coming up in a few moments here as we'll just go through our introduction. We will have a special guest, so stay tuned to see who that special guest is covering Division 6 with us today. And then we had a bit of a hiccup, let's say, with a lot of our guests. As you can see, there's some sunlight over my. This is my right shoulder. So you'll see as the evening goes along that we're recording a little earlier today. So a lot of our guests were not able to join us. So we will have Mr. Mo Khan, of course, the trusty and reliable. Although wanted to catch his Jersey Shore, so I'm not sure how reliable he is exactly. But he will be joining us, covering the rest of the divisions. That means tonight we got Division 1 on tap, where we got to cover the women's, or we get to cover the women's division. We'll cover Division 5A, 5B, as well as I think that's it. 35 plus as well is on the docket. So definitely a lot of things to cover here today on today's show. But first, just a little bit of an introduction here. Some of the things that are happening in FPF, which include the playoff schedule, which is now officially released. So definitely you're going to want to take a look at Nightingale, as if you can just share my screen here. We're going to take a look at the playoff schedule that has been released. So if you're definitely going to want to pencil these dates in to your calendar, as Mo was saying on the uh, I don't know what to call it now, Tuesday, Wednesday edition of the show, that some of the dates might be scheduled to a change. So definitely you're going to want to keep an eye out. If ever the division playoff schedule is changed, you will be notified. So definitely it won't be caught off guard. So we do have the playoff divisions by dates. So if you happen to play in Division 3, for example, you know that you're playing on April 14th, the 17th, the 22nd, the 28th, and the finals on May 5th. If you play in Co-Ed 2, you know that you're playing on April 14th, the 17th, the 28th, and the 5th. The dates are out. The locations are out also by day. So again, I mentioned Sunday, April 14th. That will be played in the Laval Dome. If you happen to play on Wednesday, April 17th, you're playing in either the Laval Dome or Marie Victorin. So you will notice Marie Vic back on the docket there once April comes around, and we lose a couple of the domes. So you'll notice that the Loyola Stinger Dome, for example, is not up here as a playoff location. We then go on to how many teams qualify for each division, which, whatever, we already knew that. And the finals dates, the dates, not only the dates, but the times are also known. So if you play in Division 1, you know you're playing May 5th at approximately 3:20 in the afternoon. So definitely take a look at the playoff schedule and book that in your calendar. Uh, in order to play, of course, in the playoffs, you need to have enough games under your profile to be eligible to play in the playoffs. So that playoff eligibility number is five games played during the regular season in order for you to play and be eligible in the playoffs. Of course, one of the ways, or the way you get a game played during the regular season, of course, is by wearing a jersey that is the same color as your team, and wearing a legitimate proper number. So that falls in line with the uniform protocol. I'm not sure how many more weeks we're going to be mentioning it here on the show, but definitely wearing a proper number and a proper a jersey color, as long as it's within the same shade as your team. So it could, if your team is blue, fine. We give the extension of light blue, navy blue, baby blue, whatever you want. Blue is blue. So you definitely need those two things in order to register your game played and your stats, of course, for the night. And then, uh, one thing we haven't mentioned, and I want to bring it up way in advance so that our viewers at least know and can pass the message along, especially for the newer divisions or teams in the newer divisions, um, or teams that it's your first season in FPF, and that is that if you forfeit a game during the last week of the regular season, you actually do automatically forfeit your playoff spot. In addition to, of course, there is a fine for forfeiting a game, because forfeits suck. Let's be honest. We all pay to play. That fine depends on how much of a notice in advance that you give the league. But definitely, if you forfeit, and this is important again, and I'm bringing it up now, that if you forfeit your last game of the regular season, you automatically forfeit your playoff spot. So definitely not something that you want to do. Uh, Look, if ever you're in trouble of finding, half your team's missing, literally anyone, depending on their rating, can just play on your team, and make sure that the game continues, and is played, because definitely, like I said, the last thing you want is having gone through 15 weeks of the FPF regular season only to forfeit your final game of the season and forfeit your playoff spot. So definitely not something that you want. So just giving a big warning in advance. We're definitely going to bring that up again, and I'm sure emails will be sent out to all captains. But of course, captains then have to relay that message over to all their players. Nightingale, how are we doing for our first surprise guest of the night? All right, so it looks like we have a 2-minute warning for our guest. But just to go through uh, Division 6. So we're going to be starting the show here covering Division 6 with our mystery guest here. So some of the topics I'm going to be talking about with our surprise guest, we're going to get their thoughts on teams that have impressed so far in Division 6. Of course, Division 6, uh, known, of course, for being teams that are either brand new, and only a few returning teams, right? Uh, the 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 point of FPF in general is for hopefully teams to grow, and not necessarily camp in certain divisions. Um, so, so if there are any returning teams in Division 6, they don't usually stay there for long. So definitely one of the things we want to ask our guest here is going to be whether any teams have surprised or have shown glimpses of being able to jump up certain divisions into perhaps Division D, or Tier 3 into the Fall Cup. We're gonna talk a little bit about the free agent team, which I believe they're undefeated. I think sitting at 5-0. We're gonna get our guests' opinion about free agent squad and why they're off to such a good start this season. We're gonna take a look at the QB of the year race, and we're gonna again see with our surprise guest if they have a mid-season QB of the Year award winner, and if they believe that that person is going to be the QB of the Year winner by the end of the season, or if there are any dark horse candidates out there to win quarterback of the year. And then, of course, we'll wrap up Division Six by we looked at where we will have looked at the best of the best quarterbacks that are in for that award conversation. But then we're going to look at some of the struggling quarterbacks and perhaps have some advice to give out to the quarterbacks that are struggling in Division Six. So that's my best 2 to 3 minute delay here. Nightingale, we're still waiting our guest. All right. Yeah. So, well, I already did that, but I've caught and watched the episodes where I'm not on, and of course Mo is hosting the show, and it's always funny because it really looks like. I mean, of course it's gonna look like that because that's what it comes across to the audience. I like Mo's talking to himself. So now that I'm kind of have this like meta moment where like I know it looks like I'm talking to myself, but I can obviously hear the nightingale in my ear. Um, we might have to delay Division Six now that I'm thinking about this. But then it gets a little complicated because then we are going to be having Mo Khan coming on basically to save the day here. After that, he's going to give his thoughts on some of our questions for the 35 plus division, Division One, the women's division, and Division 5A and 5B. Will be in a few minutes here with Mo Khan. But first, I really, really, really want to dive into Division 6 with our surprise guest. I cannot. All right, so we're gonna dive in without our guest to start here, and I'll give my teams that have surprised so far. So if we take a look at the Division 6 standings here, Um, I think you know. I think last week they're not necessarily my team that have surprised so far, but last week Mo Khan was perplexed and wondering why or how exactly Cheat Squad is sitting at 4-1. To me, not a team necessarily that I'm surprised is sitting at 4-1. So definitely it's not them. A team that would have to surprise me or in general has impressed me so far this season. Um, uh, I'm not gonna necessarily say that they've impressed me all season, but No Fly Zone. No Fly Zone is a team that they struggled last year. They are a returning team from winter 2023. They're now sitting at 3-2. It's a team that I've definitely seen progress from, especially from Adam Weechie at the quarterback position. So that's definitely a team that I've seen improvement on and from, especially on the offensive side of the ball. On defense, the team and many Division Six teams are usually okay when it comes to the defensive side of the ball because the offense takes a second for teams to figure out. Instead, it's their offense that I've seen that improvement from in terms of no fly zone. As I as I can kind of see, I don't see our surprise guest. I see our guest thereafter lined up, and he's with his he has an interesting wardrobe choice. Mokan does, so maybe he has 10 minutes to think about this, but that's fine. Definitely though, it's one of the teams that has impressed in terms of development. Is definitely no fly zone. Like I said, Adam Weechie was definitely going for the long bomb early on and a little too often for my liking for the offense to be effective. He's quickly noticed himself, I think, that hitting a 3 yard out or a slant in and letting your receivers do the work is an effective way of moving the ball in FPF, especially in Division Six, and it's definitely led to some wins, and especially using your snapper. This team has one of the better snappers that I've seen in the division. A very large and reliable target, I believe, in Ali Alvi. He's definitely been one of the key contributors on the offensive side of the ball for no fly zone. Um, and let's see. We'll see if I have a second team that has impressed so far. I haven't seen too many Division Six games. Of course, I have seen some Division Six games. I'm gonna go with another one here where it's the same idea as No Fly Zone, where I'm seeing a offense that in the past they're not necessarily a returning team from the winter, but Jurassic Park Rangers sitting at 3-1 with 112 points scored in 4 games is a very decent output for let's call them a new offense starting out. Cam Chapu taking a few reps under center in in last seasons and in the past year. He's taken a few snaps here and there as a backup quarterback, let's say, or as an emergency quarterback. But Cam Chapu, 18 touchdowns in 4 games. I like 8 interceptions in 4 games. It's a little high for my liking, but maybe I have a high standard for quarterbacks because that is 2 interceptions per game. But you can get I have to always remind myself you can get away with that in Division Six, where defenses on average are getting 2 to 3 interceptions per game. So moving the ball, spreading the offense out is something that for me is essential and usually leads to a better success rate in the long run. And that's exactly what Chapu is doing here with Remy Pare, Alex Silipsky, Deshaun Collins, all getting, and even Philippe Nicolas getting, 15 to 20 targets so far this season. The ball distribution is there. The touchdown distribution is there. A few receivers with 100 yards already, and Deshaun Collins just sitting at 90, right? So definitely two teams that have impressed me so far. I do see our surprise guest has arrived and then quickly shot out of a cannon. But here we go. Our Division Six surprise guest, ladies and gentlemen. I introduce to you Peas Delarice.
You for Rigi. I have to contribute to the bad audio and video quality of the show.
Yeah, I can already see a few things that my producer would be yelling at in my ear, but of course, only I would be hearing these things. Peas Delarice,
Hey, how's
who
it
the
going?
hell are you, and what are you doing on the show?
I'm just a dude, like living day after day. Recently living with my newly born baby. I've been on paternity from work, Atlanta, Georgia. I I also played FPF for a really, really long time. I normally play quarterback, took a couple of seasons off to help my wife out, of course, and then sort of bring our new child into the world. But I am snapping this season, which I haven't done in a very, very, very long time. And I'm here hoping that'll work out. I'm trying to convince an infant that I know what I'm doing, so I'm also trying to convince the Div 6 team I know how to snap.
It's one and the same almost,
Yeah,
right?
it's all the same, exactly.
So
How you
Peas,
been,
I
bro?
went through. I'm doing awesome. We're running a little behind the clock here,
I'm
so
sorry, dude.
no, that's okay. I figured I was able to give the teams that have impressed me so far
Okay.
in my limited viewing of scorekeeping some Division Six teams out there. But of course, Peas, like you said, you're snapping like what you haven't done in a long time. You're snapping for the free agent squad. Off to a very surprising start. We always say with this free agent franchises that it's hit or miss, and definitely this year, this go around, you guys are hitting on all cylinders, sitting at 4-0 right now, undefeated. So, what has this free agent squad piece off to such a good start? What are the odds of going 10-0? And does the team have a better offense or defense? What is leading the way more? So, a few things out there. We'll just start with, in general, your thoughts. Is the team off to such a good start?
Jeez, Ziggy, that's like the most multi-part question of all time.
I'm
There was
bringing it
like
back though. I'm bringing it back.
18 sections to that question. Yeah, it's so I saw a post on Facebook, saw the schedule, discussed with my wife and said, sure, I'll join just like everyone else on that team. It's not a team that's built. In fact, when we showed up, just sort of like the physicality of our guys and a couple of guys like myself and Eagle who've played before and Tyler and one of the refs was like, okay, but why is this team in Division Six? I'm like, well, first of all, like I'm snapping, I'm not playing quarterback. Second of all, like we just met each other. Like we don't know, like we did, like it's not like this was a team that was built, right? So like you never know what you're gonna get. My thing, first of all, if I can start at a place that's sort of less exciting, is that I was just surprised how well we all get along, considering none of us know each other. The group chat's really active, and like it's a fun group to be around, you know. But if you want to talk about some of the football stuff, um, I I think first of all, part of what's made us so great is that we're such an overrated team, as per Brent Botkin. And the overratedness is really what puts us at the top of the division. It's not actually our ability. It's definitely the overratedness. Like I understand, like weak schedules happen, and lots of teams win 56-0 on weak schedules. I would point out this that happened this week. But that's just a little bit of shade for Brent, who appears on the show regularly. Honestly, and I'll talk about him a little bit in a future question, but Tyler is really, really good. Tyler Stewart is a really good quarterback. He's got a unique style. He still has some learning to do, which he'll admit to, but his growth from like week one to last couple of weeks, I haven't even been around, but just sort of hearing how the games have went. But what's impressed me from day one is his leadership in the huddle. He's really concise at getting the information out. He's really good at explaining routes to the guys who don't understand them. And he's really good at sort of understanding the mental component of the game and how to live for four downs and playing a little bit like a higher division player because he has played higher division. So he understands sort of FPF. While he hasn't necessarily thrown a ton, he understands sort of the world of FPF and the way the game works. And we'll talk a little bit about four down football when we get to later question as well. But just to keep the audience abreast of some of the things we might cut short on now that might be interesting, we will get back to it at some point later.
Quickly, Peas, what are the odds of the team going 10-0?
I've been on a 10-0 team in the past. And one thing I'll say is it doesn't ultimately matter. Ideally, is there a bye in this division? I've been away 3 weeks. You have to excuse me a little bit. I'm not I'm not as into it as I usually am.
Don't worry about that, Peas. We'll get that straightened out.
We don't know. Okay, well, if there's a bye, obviously the more wins you finish with, the better. But like I've been on a 10-0 team that lost in the first round. It sucks. And so honestly, the key is you get your 6 or 7 wins, but you improve each week. And like you asked a little bit earlier, like um what you thought about what I thought about, sorry, but the defense or the offense and what was the better side of the ball. Right now the defense has been exceptional and the offense is really good, but it's not even fully crisp yet. Like last week was the first game that the spacing and the timing was all great. And so like that's the thing where it's like you want to see that as a team that's 4-0 is there's room for improvement so you can play beyond what you've already shown. Um, and then the next thing is like with regards to whether or not this could be a 10-0 team, given the other 10-0 team I played on, which was in a higher division, I
Mhm.
don't know. This seems like that kind of team in terms of just raw talent. In terms of raw talent, absolutely, the answer to your question is yes. But it is hard to do, so we'll see.
So you talked about Tyler Stewart living up to his quarterback. It's in quarterbacks always tough, right? So he's definitely proving himself in the positive ways here for quarterbacks. Let's take a look at some of the other quarterbacks. Does Tyler Stewart even come close to quarterback of the year discussion?
Yes, absolutely.
Who else is in that conversation? And who would be your mid-season quarterback of the year at this point right now?
Tyler's up there. I guess I won't choose him just for sake of mentioning some other dudes. We talked about him a little bit. What I will say about him is like the interceptions have largely come from miscommunications, not bad throws, and that's the
Right.
stuff that will get better for a team like Free Agent Squad. Um, in a way, I'm glad you didn't ask me about some of my top teams because a lot of it was related to the quarterback. Max Gannett to me is super impressive, and one thing that we can't forget to look at is he has 19 throwing touchdowns, but he's also run for four. So he's
Right.
got the most touchdowns thrown tied with Matthew Batazi, and he's got a lot less interceptions. He's throwing he has 16% higher completion percentage, which, as you know, Iggy, you and I talk about a lot in terms of sort of sustainability to play at a high level. I think Batazi is going to have a great offensive output, but he's going to make a few too many mistakes to take home hardware. Another name I want to draw attention to, because obviously Manny Vizagias is up there too, Max Gannett, Tyler Stewart. To me, those are the top three in the clubhouse. But Viren Patel, like the 16 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, I love the ratio. I love that he's completing over 60% of his passes. And then on top of that, he's a guy who, if he gets on a run and starts to score more frequently, he's going to protect the ball enough to get his name out there. So if he has a really strong second half of the season, and you have to consider that he has 181 yards rushing, and he has not yet scored a touchdown. So if a couple of those he falls into the end zone, then we're looking at a guy 18 touchdowns, 3 interceptions after 6 games. You know what I mean? So he's a bit of a dark horse candidate, and he needs to stop taking sacks. It's the biggest part of his game that's hurting him. But if he can overcome that, a little like Max Gannett in that way in terms of taking the sacks, I think that we might have a 4-horse race to end the season.
Do you have a clear-cut mid-season quarterback of the year?
Yeah, Tyler, he's awesome. I told you. Um,
Clearly.
Look, I mean, the thing is, like, I want to say Max Gannett just because it's a more interesting
Yeah.
conversation. But like Tyler's done almost that in 4 games, 2 games less than Max Gannett.
Right.
And
Yep.
again, the protection of the ball, I think, will improve for Tyler, where, Max Gannett's already doing that well. I think those two realistically are absolutely, absolutely at the top of the list. It's going to be an interesting race. Like I said, I think I see up to 4 people really competing for it.
Okay. So we looked at the top ranking quarterbacks here. If we slide all the way down to the bottom,
Give me a
what
name.
would be
Who sucks?
what what would be some of the advice? Of course, you and I as quarterbacks here.
Yeah.
What advice would you give out to some of the struggling quarterbacks in Division 6?
I've heard you say this on the show because now I'm actually participating as a fan and not a media member. Also for Division 6, I'm one of the older media members on the team. You might not know me yet, but you'll know me in future seasons for sure, as I'm not going anywhere. But honestly, one of the things I've heard you say is strip down the playbook, find plays that work, find people who know plays that work who can explain them to you. There's myself, there's Iggy. We spend most of our days whenever we talk to each other, and we're good friends. Most of the time we're talking about FPF. Most of the time we're talking about flag and concepts. I do that with higher division quarterbacks who I'm competing against. It's a great community. Reach out, find out what works. We'll help you. I promise. I take a lot of time to teach quarterbacks, and it's helped a lot of people. Iggy's done the same thing. And that's the first bit. Like I said, you've covered that a little bit. One of the things I want to talk about, Iggy, is understanding how to explain your plays to your team. Understand the spacing. When a play goes wrong, don't just get angry and get frustrated. Explain why that slant needs to be at 3 yards. Explain when a guy runs a hook, you want them to turn on spot and not break inside or outside. You know what I mean? Or a guy runs a fade, he needs to stay towards the sideline. These are just small things that, like, as a quarterback, you need to communicate what you needed from that route for the next time so that you can improve. And then on top of that, we said it's a 4-down game. There's the only reason to punt in an FPF field is for strategic reasons, to run out of play, or if you lose, a yard and you don't gain a single yard after receiving it after a touchdown. So like from your starting point, if you lose a yard, but even then, you're only punting.
Even then,
Are you punting to midfield at that point,
to
Niggy?
midfield,
Right?
yes, you're still
Midfield,
punting
yeah.
to
So like
midfield. So like,
you can tell how often I punt. I've gone for on 4th and 20. It doesn't matter because like the first best thing that can happen to you is a touchdown.
gain your
The
first
second
down.
best thing that can happen to you is a stop, and then the third best thing is the other team scores quickly. So you're almost better off giving them better field position and giving yourself an extra possession.
Yeah.
Understand the length of the game. Understand it's a 4-down game. Understand there's a little more volatility than you see in tackle football. And practice your converts. All those things are going to be key. So strip down your plays. It's a 4-down game. Understand the scope of the game, the situation that you're in, and yeah, and call plays that work and describe them well.
Yeah, I
Oh,
think
and ask for help.
on
Ask for help.
yes, yeah, you said that. Peace. It was awesome talking to you. Thanks for sharing your knowledge here to the rest of the FPF community as you've done so in past seasons. We hope everything's going well with you and the child.
And the
The
best,
wife.
dude.
Yes, you're the
I know it's
best.
the most obvious thing in the world, but it's an absolute blessing.
And wait for it, man. Do we miss peas?
The the one thing I will say is I'm sorry I spoke a little quickly. The questions, of course, are pretty broad, but on top of that, while in it's a quick anecdote, I promise. While
Mhm.
in Georgia, I hurt my hand from what the doctor called overuse. Yes, make your jokes, but it's from carrying a squirming child after not being able to take paternity for months when he was born. So he was just sort of, I guess, I made a movement I wasn't supposed to, hurt my hand. So doctor gave me steroids to heal, which have affected me in a couple of ways. One is that I can't stop talking, and the other one is I can't sleep. So you're dealing with an insomniac, blabbermouthing piece today. So I want to thank the audience for putting up with me.
The headline reads "Peas on
Yeah,
steroids."
that's it. Like I want. Look, if we go 10-0, I want a controversy, baby. Peas on
Peas
steroids.
was on steroids. I love it. All right, Peas. Thanks for
Have a good one,
joining.
boys.
And
Otherwise, we'll talk soon. Okay. Later, guys.
all right. Thanks, Peas. Have a good night.
Bye.
All right, we were blessed with the contributions of Peas, our surprise guest, Peas Delarize. Of course, Peas. I'll just say ex media member, just taking a sabbatical. Better said. He'll be back, of course. Definitely, as he said here, he's you can never get rid of the Peasler, that is Peas Delarize. But we do have other divisions, of course, to continue and carry on here. And like I said, saving the boat and is Mo Khan already lined up for us with the greatest fashion statement of 2024. Hello, Mo Khan. No, you're on the mute. You're on the mute button. So saving the boat, but doing so silently. No, it's still definitely it's just like the Jeff Rosenblatt segment of a couple of weeks ago. Oh, it sounds like we may have Mo Khan here. Now he can't hear you. So with covering, we're gonna be with Mo Khan here in just a second as we get the technical difficulties lined up. But we're gonna be now jumping over to the 35 plus division, where we're gonna be covering the KTFL, both the KTFL and the Legends division. I'm not sure if Mo is frozen or he's just so silent and so concentrated on the screen. It definitely looks like that's a frozen Mocon. Ali Reza, are we good with Mo? No. Okay. At least he's moving now. Okay. at least he's moving now. I was a little worried for Mo. Maybe he was stung by something that paralyzed him. But no, everything's okay with Mo. He's perhaps shutting off his phone and restarting. So yeah, like I said, we're gonna be covering the KTFL and the Legends division. uh, and especially starting with the KTFL here. Um, as Ali Reza, you might want to check your phone. Mo is texting here. Um, so we're going to be looking at the two of the best teams that faced off in week 7 in Brody Windsor versus JMJ. So far, they've split the season series, but I have a compelling question here from Mo Khan as soon as he comes on. We're going to be looking at that Brody Windsor JMJ matchup and see who's going to win that deadlock season series. Right now, tied at one apiece. And whether there's a dark horse player of the year that can get in the mix. Right now, you have two leading candidates. And in fact, both those players, Dominic Tozzi and Corey Sim Robertson, are candidates for two-way player of the year as well. So we want to know if there's maybe a dark horse for defensive player of the year, and then we'll move along to the Legends division. So Mo has made a change in his fashion statement. He's made a change in his location. Ali Reza, do we officially have Mokan on air? Nope, man. Mokan is still in the silence, in the waiting in the wings. So definitely we're gonna. That's the KTFL division. We have some compelling questions there, and then we'll get Mo's opinion on the Legends division. Right now, the Pacemaker is sitting atop the division. We're gonna see if anyone can stand in their way right now. They are an offensive juggernaut, so to speak. Over all the other teams. So we're wondering if anyone can slow down and change pace. I guess if that's one way you want to put it, and then we'll break down a week 8 matchup: Bearskins versus Greyhawks, a battle for second place in the division. So we're gonna preview that matchup, see what Mo thinks, who has the upper hand, how critical of a game that is for both teams. As again, I mentioned that Pacemakers looks like they're running it away with the division right now. So that second seed is up for grabs. So let's see who wants it more, who's going to ultimately win it. Is this perhaps a defining moment in the season for Bearskins or Greyhawks, or are there more important games down the line? So all that 35 plus coverage we're gonna get with Mo Khan as Ali Reza. It looks like we have Mo back, but yes, we're gonna need some more time. So after 35 plus, we're gonna jump into the Division One with Mo. We're gonna talk a little bit about Party Crashers and how surprised that we are after their record after 6 games. We're gonna look at KGP continuing to give the Braves any fits, right? This is a team in KGP uh, that really gives the Braves trouble. So we're going to see if that trend continues in Division One. We're gonna there's something I noticed in Division One, and we're gonna get Mo's opinion on that. So we have a kind of a surprise question, something that's intriguing in my eyes, and then we're gonna get Mo's opinion on the final playoff seed that's gonna come down, and what's it gonna come down to for that final playoff seed. I think it's a certain matchup that I have in mind, but we're going to see if Mokan agrees with that or not. As my God, I cannot buy and sell more time. Yes, well, there's so much I can go ahead with. So we will go ahead with 35 plus, just like we did with Division 6. So 35 plus KTFL division. Uh, in both meetings, Brody Windsor, like I said, allowed 46 points against JMJ, but yet they've split the series, season series, one apiece. So I'm wondering here whether Brody Windsor has to once again score 47 points to win their next outing against JMJ, which happens on March 18th. And it's interesting because the defense has has been porous against JMJ, and rightfully so. Ryan Kastner has been one of the best quarterback in the division so far this year, and has been scoring at will and putting up 46 points in both games against Brody Windsor is impressive. I noticed last game though that Brody Windsor's quarterback, both they had a quarterback and Kenton Lowe at receiver, and Dylan Taylor throwing for them at quarterback. So neither Vinny Galano nor Sean Avram at under center taking snaps for them and throwing the ball. So I wonder if Brody Windsor is going to be able to put up 47, and if they're going to have to put up 47, and I think they will, because like I said, Ryan Castor having an exceptional season so far in 35 plus. He's been scoring at will, so I definitely think that they are going to give up another 46 spot on them, and whichever quarterback it is, and that's going to be the key, right? Because you got Dylan Taylor last game throwing 7 touchdowns. In their previous game, you had Vinny Golano throwing 5 TDs but 2 interceptions. Now, that was earlier in the season, so maybe that chemistry's been building. Now that we're in week 7, entering week 8, and that March 18th matchup is going to be somewhere along the week 10 line. So I'm more confident that Brody Windsor is going to be able to put up 47. I'm not sure they will, but I'm more confident than of them being able to do it on March 18th than they were than doing so earlier in their season. Uh, and I think that's true whether it's Vinny Golano or Sean Avram at throwing the football. So definitely an interesting matchup that might determine the number 1 seed, with JMJ sitting at 5-1 and Brody Windsor sitting at 4-1-1. Mocon, I finally hear the man, the myth, the legend, the smooth, silky voice of Mocon, and he left the room. Unbelievable. So we'll move on from that matchup, as I think it's going to be one of the interesting ones for the number 1 seed. Uh, Ultimately, spoiler alert, I think JMJ is going to come down with the number 1 seed in the 35 plus KTFL division. But now we'll move along to the defensive player of the years. As I do see Mo lined up here. Mo, I did hear you just a few seconds ago. Maybe if you can just give me a shout out. Yes, I can hear the man blowing his nose. Mo Khan, welcome
I can't hear
to
anything.
the show. But he cannot hear us. This is fantastic. As I can finally hear Mo, but he cannot hear us. So we will move on to Defensive Player of the Years in 35 plus KTFL division. Uh, as I was mentioning, Dominic Tossi. Uh, okay, here we go. Mo Khan, finally the silky smooth voice of Mo Khan, changing the location, changing his earpieces, doing everything possible in order to get on the show. Mo, welcome to the show. Finally,
Hello, Iggy. Sorry, I'm just trying to get used to this whole. I'm in my office right now, man.
sorry.
It's crazy right now.
I
I'm trying.
bought. I think I've bought 20 minutes worth of time. Mo, we're gonna jump right into it.
Yeah, hold on,
For
before we get to that,
Oh boy. Oh boy.
so PZ has a steroid issue. What's the
Yes.
old line? Less is more.
Uh-huh.
That's PZ for you. Less is more.
Okay. We'll leave it open-ended, ambiguous.
I'll
We'll
say this though:
we'll
Viren Patel had a terrible game.
Okay.
Awful game.
Okay.
Div six. That's why I know you did Div six with Peas.
Yes.
He had an awful game against Mutation on Wednesday at Hebert.
You were scorekeeping that game?
I score kept that game.
Okay.
All ball does not impress me at all. I'm disappointed in these guys. It was.
Oh, we're on 35 plus.
I know,
He's
but I'm just saying I wasn't impressed by them. They have to come back better. Anyway, on to 35 plus. Here we go.
Yeah, 35 plus. Mo, we're already skipping because I already went through the first question on my own
Yeah.
for keeping me solo here, the solo edition of Calling the Audible. Mo, a dark horse defensive player of the year. Is there anyone in the 35 plus division that can get in the mix? Because right now you do have Dominic Tossi, you do have Corey Sim Robertson leading the interception board right now. Dominic Tossi taking 2 of those interceptions to the house. Do you have a dark horse player, maybe a rusher or someone else?
No, because I think in 35 plus, when you look at it now, it's sort of who the leaders are going to be for that award, right? Tossi said before 2 pick sixes, and when we talk about men who are now like 40 plus years old to have 2 pick sixes, that
It's
should win the
it's
award right there.
strenuous, yeah. That's
Yeah,
strenuous on the
give him
body.
the award now, and this save us the hassle of holding on to the award for like 4 years, and then give it to him like in 2028, whatever it is. So I think Tossi definitely will have the odds on favorites to win this award. You look at a guy like Lonnie Johnson, who we know very well, who's played quarterback in the adult divisions in years past. He's had a very good season. Vinny Galano doing it as well with Brody Windsor. There are some good guys, but when we talk about the sack artists out here, David Ness, and you know me, Iggs fairly well. Pass rushers don't get the proper accreditation on the Defensive Player of the Year award that you would give
I'll
to.
challenge you on that. I think Raf Morelli would like a word. I
Yeah,
think
but
he's
how many?
got
But you
some.
know what? Pass rushers blow up plays, right? Like sacks,
Yeah,
PDs. If it's, I
yeah,
know you spoke about it before. I think it was you that said if we had like a analytics stats to find out the quarterback pressures from
right.
pass rushers,
Yeah.
that would signify the word even more and how well they perform on a weekly basis. So, there are some pass rushers in this league that have done very well. We look at David Ness, Alex Theodore, Brian Joseph as well. These guys have all played well, and I think that if we're going to really expand this vote, then you have to include pass rushers at some point.
I think so as well. Uh, Mo, as we move along to the 35 plus Legends division,
Yes,
the top of the standings.
legendary.
Uh, yes, this pace, almost at a pacemaker level. Uh, right now, sitting at 4-1, the pacemakers are. No one's even close to hitting well, some teams are close to hitting 100 points. They might hit 200 points before some teams hit 100 points. Is anyone stopping this offensive juggernaut in pacemakers?
Okay, first off, before we get to that, we're doing team photos, right, for the league, and we're starting to get them all loaded up
Yes.
here and stuff.
I think we're at 97%.
Yeah, we're almost there. We're almost there. Take a look at the pacemakers team photo for me, please. I just noticed it
We're
now.
gonna bring it up right away. Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
look at Jason Rossi's chest. Like it's like the size of two humans. Like he's been doing the 225 bench rack over there for like 20 reps now. The bench press over there.
I
He's
feel
racking them.
like I feel like they took Justin Anania as chest and cropped it over Jason Rossi's chest because they
Yeah,
look very, very similar here. You're right.
definitely. But look, their test will come against the Bearskins coming up Monday Night Football on March 4th in about 10 days from now. You're talking about a Bearskin team that can put up points themselves. And I think for where they're at right now with pacemakers, they are in a position where if they were to beat the Bearskins, and they'll play them twice in 3 weeks, or they'll play them, I beg your pardon, 3 weeks in a row, I beg your pardon,
Yes.
in this 3 game trilogy that we'll have. I can't wait for this.
At three
Uh,
different locations as
yeah,
well.
that's
Just
that's how you sell the product, Iggs. That's how you sell product, man. Like you don't play in one location, you sell the brand, man. 35 Legends here. Look, if Bearskins can get at least two turnovers, so that means interception, 4 and out, whatever it is, turnover on downs. This game could be a lot more competitive. And look, the Bearskins are not any pushovers at all here, Eggs. I mean, you look at their roster; they have some really good talent to work with. Kevin Libman, 3 INTs. Chris Millard, or whatever we call him, 2 INTs. Yeah. Marco Bertoli, Vince Nardone, 2 INTs. Like this team, I think, has over 10 INTs this year, 1 pick 6, 2 pick 6 to be exact. So I don't think it's going to be easy for them. I really believe that first 1 to 28 wins this football game. I think the Bearskins will take 1 and maybe 2 from them.
I think that line is closer to 33. A bit of a strange number to hit, but I think it's closer to the 30s than it is the higher 20s. Um, and then wrapping up here, 35 Legends. If if uh, if pacemakers do clinch the number one seed, which wouldn't be in for a few weeks now, Bearskins versus Greyhawks. Is this a battle for second place in the division?
Probably so, because I think for Greyhawks now, they're 2-2. Reality is that if they're going to run the table now, they could go 8-2 if they were to run the table. But I mean, with 6 games left, I think realistically speaking here, they could very well get 4 wins out of it, and that would put them at 6. They got the Bearskins come up on Feb 25th on Sunday Night Football in Laval. After that, though, they got Team Ethnic Senior, which should be a win for them. Everything Hurts is going to be a tricky one for them, but they should get 6, I think, in their next 4 wins in the next 6 games here. So they should be 6-4, I believe, going towards playoffs.
And is that enough for second place?
I think it'd be close. I think if they get third, that's a hell of a third seed. But I think it'll be very close to second seed over here.
And let's and slightly turn it this way: if the Greyhawks lose the game against Bearskins, they'll be sitting at 2-3 with the Bearskins at 4-1. Is this as critical of a game as there is, at the midway point in the season for to determine a second seed? If they
Yeah,
lose, are they not getting it?
of course. No. If Greyhawks, it's a bigger referendum on Greyhawks because they have to win this game to kind of create a bit of gloss with them, Team Ethnic Senior, and Everything Hurts. Because if you lose that game, you open up for Everything Hurts and Team Ethnic Senior to kind of jump them, right? And they will play each other in the coming weeks here. And so they have to create an insurance policy that will give them that buffer. And if they do that, it kind of in a way opens up the number one spot because pacemakers, they're only a game and a half or two, I mean, officially a game and a half above Greyhawks, but the Greyhawks run the table. Yeah, they can get back into that 1-2 conversation. But again, it's a bigger game for Greyhawks because if they lose this game, they're back in that 3, 4, 5 race for the last two spots.
All right, for sure. Definitely agree with you there. Thanks for your 35 plus input, Mo. But we will move to the best of the best here of FPF Division 1. And I look at the standings, Mo, and I see Party Crashers, PC, sitting at 1-4-1, the only team to have played 6 games. What do we make of their start to the season? Are you disappointed, surprised? What are your thoughts on Party Crashers so far?
I think that they are okay. I score kept their game Monday against Blessed, and
Hmm.
they could have won that game. They threw a INT with 3 plays left to Craig Browning, and that killed off the game. But this is the type of team that they got to score and they'll give up a lot of points. And there's no such thing as them holding teams to less than 20 points. That'll never happen with Party
Yeah.
Crashers.
Yep.
And it's sort of that, hey, it's like the high cholesterol, right? Like you're on that high cholesterol, you're trying to get off of it, but you can't because you're so immune to eating high salty foods. That's what they are. And I think now, Iggs, with 4 games left in the schedule, look, they got 3 points, which is a cushion and have to have. Their biggest game will come up when they get back to from their bye week on March 9th against ATH squad, right? That's the biggest game for them on the schedule because if they win that football game, they'll be in the playoffs. Because after that, they got Flag Mossack, Jamesons, and Braves. Oh, by the way, these are 3 of the top 5 teams in Division 1. So I think for them, their referendum will come on March 9th. And if they do win that football game, I think they'll be okay. But you're right, though. The racetrack is starting to run short on them if they were to lose that matchup.
And looking at the Braves, their 1-2 start to the season is uh, slightly worrisome. The thing with the Braves is, of course, regular season doesn't matter. It just matters get into the playoffs, and then they'll have their full roster, and then they'll make a run to the finals. But one of the teams that usually gives them fits is KGP. Uh, and they face off this coming week. And not only does KGP face the Braves, they have a double header in week 8. So how's KGP going to fare against the Braves? And then how are they going to fare in their second matchup here?
Well, I mean, the KHP's played Braves tough in years past, right? Spring season, fall cups, all that stuff. I mean, they've had some good battles in what they've had between the two teams the last year and a half. I think it'll be tough because for Braves, I told this to you in Peasy before. They're kind of like the San Antonio Spurs, right? They don't give a crap about regular season football. I beg your pardon. They want to get to the playoffs, man. They get in the playoffs, they'll be in the Final Four and make it to the finals somehow, somewhere. But I think for KGP, I mean, we'll get a good idea of where they stand because they've had a long break themselves because they played essentially 3 games, Iggs, in the
Yep.
first, I would say, do the math,
7 weeks.
48 days of the regular season. And it's weird because they had back to back on the third and fourth. They'll have another like window of, I guess, not back to back, but it's 2 games in 3 days, and
Yep.
it's against the top 2 hitters on offense. Now, Flag Moissac is going to be the team, the same thing as Party Crash, so that they'll give up 50, they'll beat you by 51, and so could the KGP defense scheme up well and minimize those explosive plays that Flag Mossack has. And I think what it might come down to is that will one of these teams use the ejection button on the onside rule to win a possession, to turn the tables around. Because whoever does that and can get that converted for the next lifeline or to score for points, I think wins that football game because of the onside. And you know what, Flag Mossack, they'll use it when you least expect it. And that's what they did against the Braves to win that football game.
Yep.
And they might do the exact same thing against KGP on the weekend.
And then, okay, let's just play a little game. It's in the Laval Dome. The Laval Dome, a little longer than every other field that FPF plays on. Do they convert and hit on that onside?
Oh, yeah, for sure. For sure. It's
Okay.
just Alex Nadeau-Pius is a smart quarterback.
Yep.
I've known Alex for God knows how long now, 13, 14, 15 years, watching him play, tackle, and obviously for flag football. And he's a coaching mind too. Like he knows his game inside out. He knows angles and he knows how to work the pressure points of opposing defenses to his advantage. So I think in this situation that we're at now for Phil Cutler and for this KGP team, I'm not saying to make or break for them these next two games, but it would go a long way for them if they're able to come up with a win to kind of keep them in that middle of the pack going towards the last half of the schedule.
So quickly, do they go 0-2, 1-1, 2-0?
I think they go 1-1. I think they'll beat one of these teams. I just don't know who. Um, I think the likelier team that they can beat is probably Braves. But again, it's all depending on who shows up for the Braves for that football game.
As always. Mo, I was curious here. I was looking at the Division One quarterback statistics here, and more than ever, I'm seeing a higher influx of interception thrown. Do you have something to explain why that is?
Are you throwing in Division One?
I'm not.
Exactly. So
So you're saying I don't throw a lot of interceptions?
no, you're right. I think if you look at it, um, Stephen Haraprasad, he's moving up the ladder, and I remember when I first saw him play Division One, he was a step behind, and I think he started to get a more comfortable in it. Jared Taylor, by nature, I mean, he's not a true
High
quarterback, but
risk.
he's a great athlete.
High risk.
Um, you look at Artie Giraud. These are guys that are not traditional quarterbacks like Kevin Wyeth or Chad Byers or Joe Meyer or whatever it is. But I just think that
Even for Wyeth, 5 interceptions in 5 games. It's not a name that I'm usually seeing 1 interception per game. So, is
yeah,
there something to it? Are
no, I just think
defenses
I
adapting?
think
Are they getting a hold on his? I mean, he only runs 3 to 5 plays. So, like, is there something that you're noticing?
no, I just think the defenses are good, man. Like the Screams at score cap, even though they score a lot of points, their defenses are breaking the balls. This is the most we've had for Division One teams ever. I think it's 11, right? We have
Yep.
right 11. I lost track of how many teams we have, but this is the most we've had, and this is the reason that the margin of error gets razor sharp on the field because they're bigger, faster, smarter. These guys know each other for many years now. It's not like you're throwing an exotic look that you've not seen from Joe Meyer or Phil Cutler or Kevin Wyeth or Chad Byers. And so teams know, like, hey, it's 3rd and 6. They like to run a flood concept. Oh, they're going triple slants, but hey, the backside slant might do in and out. So play on the outside shade of the receiver, so you don't get caught flat-footed. So I just think teams know these plays, and again, it's the speed of the game, right? Like if we have these guys who are like monsters out there, monster trucks out there that just know how to play the game so well that they're familiar with every route concept that's thrown at them, whether it's on the outdoor or indoor surfaces out there.
So it sounds like you're saying the offenses are getting a little stale. Maybe it's time for some
No, I don't
new
think
plays
still. I
and
just
new
think
play
teams are just getting
designs.
better, right? Teams are more mentally
No, for
prepared
sure.
than before.
Oh, for sure. And then looking at the that final playoff spot, you did mention there's 11 teams. The 11th team, of course, getting eliminated. Will it essentially come down to FFN versus ATH squad for that final playoff spot?
Oh yeah. We can play it now, and we'll refund them like the last 5 games. We'll see them in the playoffs mid-April, like 100%. I think both teams just don't have a quarterback to work with. They have athletes, right? I mean, it's a good athletic team for both sides, but Unfortunately for FFN and ATH squad, they'll play that second to last game March 23rd at CN Complex. And that will tell us who gets in the playoffs here. They just lack that guy that can get them open, and I think it's unfortunate for them because you think about it this way: if Dan Lazar's playing, we don't have an
Yep.
ATH squad. Like we have a Dan Lazar team, right? And that just ups the value of the competition of play. So because that we don't have a Lazar, the quarterback play goes down by a couple of belt notches here. And it's unfortunate, but that's the reality what it is, right? You have weak teams, and these are the weakest teams in this division who are trying to keep themselves above the dotted line for a playoff spot by the time we hit April.
I think it comes down to that game, and I think it comes to the team that's the most organized. Both teams look, especially ATH squad this past week, showing up with five guys against All Stars. The second the game started and it was five guys and it was 6-0, the game was over. So whoever is perhaps the most organized and disciplined and shows up on time for that 6 o'clock game, because that's that opening slate of games on March 23rd at Brossard. So whoever's the most organized might come away with the
Let's have a
victory.
sleepover. Stay over.
Yeah. Mo, we'll jump over to the women's division here.
Yeah, we got to talk about this
Mo,
here. Why am I being
told
sucked
you,
in?
Mo.
Why am I being sucked into this when you are the one talking about women's? I've spoken about women's division once during this new CTA format.
You. So the way it usually goes, as we pull the curtain behind here on for the viewers, is that you usually get first dibs on who you want to take, and there's I guess you push the women's to the side, or you know what, it's not that, it's not so much that, honestly. We do want more contributors for the women's division, so if you're listening to this for the women's division, please feel free to reach out. We want more contributors for the women's division, and usually that's how we go about creating the breakdown of the Tuesday Thursday show. So definitely, if you're listening and want to be heard about the women's division, definitely reach out to us. We do want some different voices in the FPF community. But Mo, I told you, I told you, there's something special about this Bees defense going up against Sub Zero and Sarah Parker. Yes, they lost the game, but another 14-6 score line. This is unheard of for Sarah Parker to be throwing only 2 touchdown passes in a game. Only Easy Fun is the only other team this season to have done it. Uh, is Bees a bad matchup for Sub Zero and Sarah Parker if they were to meet in a one-game elimination playoff game?
No, because the Bees can't score points. I watched the game from afar. I was on field 3 watching from field 1 where they were playing. But you're not going to score like you're scoring under 12 a game. You're not going to win football games if you're scoring under 12. I know you're 2-3, and that's fantastic. But you're right. Sometimes matchups, being familiar with your opponent, can play a factor. We're talking about Div 1, right? And why quarterbacks throw more INTs. But these guys or these girls, I beg your pardon, on the Bees, they know Sarah Parker, they know Sub Zero because they've seen them play, right? They have an idea of what she has from concept perspectives, but also you have to give props to the Bees coaching staff too for what they've built up, right? Understanding where they have to be on this situation. So I just think that for for the Bees, they're good, but they got to produce points because if they don't produce points, eggs, they're gonna be one and done. And whether they play Sub Zero in the first round or whether they play Blue Poudre Les Bleus or whatever it is,
Mhm.
they're not going to keep up with the Joneses if they cannot produce more than 20 points a game. And Sub Zero has nearly tripled the total points for compared to what they've done so far this season.
For sure, but when games are this close, the game of football can, one tip pass leads to an interception, maybe a pick six. Yes, I agree that maybe the offense is not putting up the points, but Sofia Pursuti, 200 yards. Divide that by 45 yards of the field that they need to travel. They're traveling the field 4.5 times. So, I mean, it's the same side, that you can question it for Sarah Parker. She's definitely moving the ball 263 yards. That's like 5.8 times, so almost six fields driven. But coming up short for those times and only scoring 2 touchdowns out of the 6 times that you were able to drive the field, when games are this close, one little mistake can change the tide. So yes, they need to punch it in. But I'm not too worried about the offense per se, especially with Sophia Pursuti at the helm. I think bees are a bad matchup for Sub Zero. They know Sarah Parker's tendencies. They know what she likes to hit on third, fourth downs. And that's something that's to me dangerous when it comes for Sub Zero because I think they can take any other team quite handedly. And something about the bees is they have a little bit of trouble with. Uh,
They
you
haven't
know,
no no
you
they haven't scored. Well, hold on before we go to the next topic. They haven't scored more than 20 points in the game.
but the defense is
It
so
doesn't matter.
strong.
You got to score points. We're not
I
playing
look,
Big Ten football here.
I'm all about the offense, and I know how offensively driven the flag game is. But I and trust me, I love the offenses, I love the points, but there's just something there's something about this Bees defense that pick up tendencies very quickly, whether it's familiar quarterbacks or rather unfamiliar quarterbacks, and they love to take away and have offenses and opponents try to beat you another way. And not every quarterback is comfortable with that. And it's just I have this Bees team on my radar
Well,
as a
they got
dark
Blue
horse.
Put and they got Le Bleu coming up next 3 weeks.
Well, okay, yeah, agreed. Let's see. I think those teams can score more than 14 points. The question was ultimately is Bees a bad matchup for Sub Zero, and I think they are.
I don't think so.
Um, all right. In week 8, Mo, we got a battle of the Blues, Les Bleus versus Bleu Pou. Uh, do we see perhaps the winner of this game take a stranglehold for the number 2 seed, as Sub Zero currently has a stronghold and strong arm on the number 1 seed?
For now, yes, they'll play each other early April, and so tiebreaker could be a factor on who gets the 2 and 3 spots at that point. But Le Bleu have a tough schedule themselves, right? I mean, as I said before, they'll play the Bees coming up after this game against Blue Put and Vortex. They should have the edge in that game. Brutes as well, but for Le Bleu, their final 2 games of the regular season is my biggest concern because they'll play Blue Put and Sub Zero. But for now, whoever does, yes, they'll have the inside track for that. And I think Le Bleu now are starting to really get back into their fluency and flow of their style of play that they lacked the week 1 against Sub Zero back in January. I mean, they've scored now 34 plus points or 34 points averaging the last few games. And if they continue on that clip, Iggs, I think Les Bleus are definitely going to be in that number 2 spot going towards the month of March.
Yep, I definitely agree. It's a team that I said last week. Watch out for Les Bleus. They're coming and they're coming in hot for sure. Uh, in women's sumo,
Oh, yes, this is what I
as
was
we
talking about in reference to women's too. Why am I being
yes,
brought down into this conversation?
I don't understand. I don't
Like,
get
I've
it.
been sucked into this conversation when
You're
you
saving
group
the
me into
boat.
this whole debate of a particular team, which I've not talked about on the Tuesday night show of calling the Audible.
Of the two win teams, Mo, you got
Yes.
Linkset, X and X, Wolfpack, uh, and Trapa. Um, can any of these teams or one of these teams distinguish themselves
Nope.
from the rest and make a
Nope.
push to go up in the upper half of this division?
No, they're mid table teams. This is where they're going to be positioned. They will be maybe as high as 9, right? If it really falls their way, but this is where they're going to be in this range of 11, 12, 13, and 14. I think you can kind of juggle it there and just pick one out of those four. Say, okay, you be 13, you be 14, you be 15, whatever. But I think that's their ceiling right now because I think you start to see a separation of teams, right? Hibu 2, they lost Hibu 2 to Red Nation. Cavaliers got Wallops as well. And Kiss My Booties, right? These are teams are starting to really play each other. In fact, um, this is where we're going to
Kiss
start
my
seeing
booties. It's kiss my boots.
whatever. I call them booties, right? That's what it is. That's what it says on the screen. That's what I go with.
Oh man.
You know what? Laurie will love that name, right?
Yeah.
But here's the thing, though, right? That top 5 that we have right now,
Hmm.
as this label, right? Hibu 2, Cavaliers, Red Nation, and Kiss My Boots. it's going to change, right? Because Red Nation plays Kiss My Boots next week, and they'll
Yeah.
play some of the more distinguished teams, and we'll have a better idea of where they are. Hibu and Hibu 2, the so-called two best teams, they'll get their challenges, right? And Hibu 2 had their challenge. They're 4-1 now. But I think in the top 5 is where I will see more of a shuffle of how it's going to be, because how we see it today, by the time we hit April 10th, that'll not be the same top 5 that we have.
No, definitely not. But you don't think just with 3 games played that Linkset might be able to distinguish themselves? I mean, they look at the offense, the points for from the 4th seed all the way down to 16, right? You have 91, 93, 96, 90, 102, 128, 98, 70, and then you have 77, but in 3 games. So everyone's in that 90 to 100 range, maybe even 80 and 60 points with 4 and 5 games played under their belts. And Linkset, 77 points in 3 games. You might be looking at one of the better offenses that just hasn't played enough games just yet. You don't think?
Well, here's the thing, right? The only team that they have left is Hibu 2. Otherwise, every other team's below them or within the same avenue on in the neighborhood that they're in. So they could run the table for sure. They can run the table and end up
Right.
5, 6 wins, 7 if it really goes their way. But in all honesty, I mean, how many games will they be favored in? Right? Cheetahs probably, X and X probably a flip a coin at that point. Hibu 2 would be H2, that would be favorite. Dreamco's, they should be favorite. Le Patriote, they should be favorite. And Kiss My Boots, they should be underdogs, but you never know by then if
It'll
they're
be
hot
close.
or not in terms of the win-loss record. So I think they can get 3 more wins. I think their cap is 7. But again, for this team here to take that next step here, they have to put together a bigger display of body of work to say, yeah, they're in that competition that can make a run for women's 2 title in April.
And then if you look at the QB of the year discussion as we hit the midway point of the regular season in the FPF here, uh, what do you see? And does anyone stand out to you? Do you see maybe any late season pushes? Right now, there's no one that really is far and away in the lead in the discussion for quarterback of the year. What are your thoughts?
What about Catherine Bolduc? 60% passer in this division, 14 TDs, 5 INTs. Allison Sobel, she's put up some good numbers, right? 12 TDs, 1 INT.
12-1 is the best. Is that best ratio that I see
Right,
right now?
right. The yards a little bit lean in terms of the yards passing compared to others who've now hit 1,000 plus this
Sure, but
season.
if most of them have played 5 or 6 games, add 150 yards, you're looking at 900. So she's right on average.
Just yeah, hitting the clip perhaps, but I think we'll know better in the next 2 weeks, 3 weeks for some of these quarterbacks that I've listed. And I think it goes back to that point about, hey, can you put up points? Yeah, you got to put up points now, right? Like you want to be known as if you're going to get to this point in the season at the halfway point of the regular season campaign, you want to be known as being like the most violent team on offense. So what I mean by that is having a playbook, many of options that's going to say, we're going to beat you short, we're going to beat you long, we're going to beat you with every option. We have flood concepts, handoffs, whatever it is. You're not going to stop it. We're going to attack all your pressure points on the football field. These quarterbacks here have the ability to be the maestro of their offense, to really establish that front. And I think what will come down to is those key games that we listed, right? Especially in the top 5. If those quarterbacks want to win QB of the year, you got to beat the big hitters. And if you could do that in the next 3-4 weeks, there's no question whoever does that will win the quarterback of the year.
All right, we'll move over to our final division of the night, Mo. Once again, thank you for saving the boat here.
Yeah, look, Jersey Shore
Keeping.
starts up in an hour and a half, so I'm trying to get into that
Oh
mode
my
right now,
God, the Jersey
please.
Shore guy, this guy.
I'm
We'll
watching it
start
right
with
here
division.
on the office TV,
Okay.
actually.
Lie down, get yourself comfortable. Let's go with Mokan, your snack of choice that you're gonna usually want to indulge in as you watch your favorite show.
Well, Iggy, since you've disrupted my supper plans, I usually eat supper around 5:30. I've not eaten supper yet. I will though, and that's my food of choice. I'm not a snack guy after 8 o'clock, man. Like, we start to look good for the summertime here, eggs. It's almost March, man. We gotta look good, feel good over here. So, We got a wedding, man, in
Madness.
early June. You and I, we have a wedding to go to early June. Not as
Madness.
a couple,
Madness.
but we're going to as a crew.
Please make it more ambiguous,
Is your
please.
wife coming to the wedding?
My wife, my God, this ambiguity now. My girlfriend. You know what? That's a good question because I have another wedding to go to. Destination. Well, it's not a destination wedding. It's in Mexico because my cousin lives in Mexico, so we're definitely going to that one together. And then I have another one in April. I have two in April, and then one in what is it, June? I don't think we'll have enough time. For to take off for the third one.
Hold on. Is she coming to the wedding in June?
That's what I just said. I don't think we'll be able to take enough time off because she would have to take time off because she lives in Toronto for a third wedding.
It's a day trip. Come in Saturday, leave Sunday.
She works on Saturday.
We'll take the day off then.
And there you go. You see, but again, going back to my point, I don't think she'll be able to take enough days off, given that I have two other weddings. Mocon,
I actually have
Division
3 weddings
5A.
this summer, man. It's crazy. Anyway, I have a long
I have
list
three
of
or
weddings,
four.
man. Yeah.
We'll wrap up the show here with Division
Yes.
5A. And again, like the women's division, I want to take a look at the influx of teams that are sitting at 2 and 3. And do any of these teams, Rude Boys, Notorious CIG, Bandits, Vice City, or Thunder Buddies, has the most potential to pull off an upset against a higher seed?
I've seen a few of these teams. Vice City is a little bit inconsistent for my liking. Thunder Buddies are intriguing. They have a decent core group of players that we know very well. Terry Babylon Club being one of them that we know very well, and he's got that 1980s baseball type of pitch with the throwing of his mechanics. I would watch out for Thunder Buddies. I think they can make a run. Bandits, look, they think I hate them. I don't hate them. I just think that they're just not that good. I just don't think they have the ability to be a consistent team here.
They've
And
been
they took
around
out Vice
long
City
enough.
a few weeks ago. They're not going to play
Yeah.
for almost another like 2 more weeks here. And they get Hill Marty's coming out of the jump and pass out of Rabiat and Ducks. Those are 3 of the top tier teams. So we'll know after a month from now, Iggs, if Bandits are going to be a legitimate threat. I don't think they will be. I think they'll be competitive, but I think reality is Thunder Buddies is a team I'm circling to watch out for in the final 5 weeks of the season.
Even after a 50-26 loss to Sleeping All Stars.
Yeah, I don't. Look, they've had a tough schedule, Thunder Buddies. Think about their losses. Okay, they lost the Ducks, and I've been promoting the Ducks
Yep.
for a
Ducks.org.
while. Like they're good. Like they're a good flag football team that's figuring it out. Okay, they didn't play Rude Boys because of the whole cancellation at Hebert, and so they'll have that game to make up. Yes, they lost the Nighthawks, but here's the thing though: if they can beat Thunder Buddies, if they can beat Vice City and Vultures, they're okay. I think they're going to get to 4
Yeah.
wins. I think they get to
No,
4 wins.
they'll be okay. But the question is, can they beat the higher seeds?
Yeah, they can.
Can they?
I
Yeah,
think they can.
I think they can as well. And then notice their week 3. Do you think that's a scoregami, 51-1? Do you think
Yeah,
that that's
that's like
ever been?
my Montreal radio great now North American great Gab Morency. He was on Pat McAfee during Super Bowl Friday, right, the last guest of the Super Bowl week. And so Dan Patrick crashed the set, famous American radio host, and he goes, final score, Gabe, what's the odds of this? And he said something along the lines like 25-23, right? That's what Dan Patrick said. And Morency said, that can never happen. The odds of that is like odd, right? Same thing with this, right? 51-50. What's the odds of that to happen in a flag football game? Like if you put a FanDuel number on that and you were to put down $20 on whatever that odds are, you could buy out FPF and own this for the rest of your life and be laughing because that 51-1 scoreline will never ever happen again in our lifetime in FPF.
Yeah, yeah. I score kept that game. I'm like, what the hell am I? This is definitely a scoregami. I've never seen this. This is a unique thing that I witnessed. Interesting for sure. If we go back to the standings, Mo here,
Yeah.
and we look at the three teams that have only played 3 games. They're all sitting at 2-1. The Sleeping All Stars, Rico Riders, and Hale Martys. Who's the best team out of those three?
Oh, Rico Riders are the best team out of those teams. I think they've again, same thing, right? They've only played 3 games in the first 48 days of FFPF. They got 7 games to go. They got the West Island Habibis, which is their forever rival from years past. They know each other very well. I think it'll come down to the last play when they do play each other because that game was canceled. But then after that, you got Sleeping All Stars. You got in and out. I think this team, with what they have built up here with Matthew Yanikulias, he's a good quarterback who does things very well. They have a good receiving core with Justin Lerner being one of the top guys. Greg as well is a very good receiver. Darren McDeasy know very well. And the defense is smart. They can play well to their system strengths right now. So I think with so many games left on the schedule, which is now 7, they can run it here and they can get upwards to 7 wins if it really falls their way in their final 7 games of the regular season, be 5-2 in that final 7.
Well, we'll definitely find out because, like you said, in week 8 they are playing the Sleeping All Stars. So, with 2 of those 3 teams that I just listed, Mo, if we scooch on over to the final division of the night, Division 5B, and we look at the pass rushers, as you yourself once were, who's the best rusher in Division 5B?
Well, as I get this thing loaded up here, because the FPF website's always a little bit slow at times. Not now, but it's always been slow. Look,
Hey, we've improved the speed of the site. Come on,
I
it's
hope it
better.
has. Look, okay, I look at it now. Sean Graham has had a really good start. 7 sacks in 3 games.
Yeah.
Yeah, Librati, who plays with Shea Benny Express 6-4. He's a good player. No one really talks about. But the guy that I look at that can really make a big influence in this process is Yannick Graham from
Mhm.
Green Monsters. I think at 6 right now, he's on pace for 12. He could be the one to watch out for Green Monster and how they can build it up towards their run over here, because it's a good deep roster they have right now with Green Monster. And I think with that defense, if he can get a few more sacks, that can really open up things for this defense to really, cheat a little bit and kind of, test out the quarterback's arm, because Graham can really make an influence on how he rushes the quarterback going towards the final 5.
For sure, and you look at the 7 tackles. He's one of the team's leader in tackles. He's sitting at 3rd, right? So that shows definitely his hustle after a quarterback escapes his pressure. He's definitely picking up a tackle. Could be for 1 or 2 yards downfield instead of 13 or 14. And then to close it out here, Mo, for the night. Uh, we played this last week. We're looking to play it again. The Stardom Sid'em Cut'em edition, two-way
Yes, the
player
Iggy Magnet
edition.
special.
Yeah, you know it. I'm looking at the best two-way players in the division. Are we looking at Jesse Duminil, Marcus Lynch, and William Sabag? I need you to start someone, sit someone, and cut someone for two-way player in Division 5B.
Oh, I'm starting Will Sabag. I think he's a dude, man. He is a legit dude on this team. This guy, he don't care who's in front of him, man. It could be God, and he'll beat the crap out of God to get that touchdown.
Okay,
Um,
sure.
I'm serious. Like this dude, he's the dude, man. We
Oh
saw
yeah,
it
he
in the
is.
finals, right? Of
Yep.
which finals
Win
did we do
Diesel, yeah.
with him and
Win
Brossard?
Diesel tier 4.
Was that Brossard?
It was Brossard, yes.
Right, yeah, it was Saturday night. Yeah, it was Saturday night in Brossard. Right. I forgot.
Yes,
I,
yes.
I thought because we did Hebert the following day. I forgot about that.
We did, yes. No,
Like
it was
the
back to
guy
back.
changes games, man. And Marcus Lynch, and Marcus Lynch is a hell of a player. He's going to Concordia next year. Congrats to him.
Yep. Yep.
I would bench him, but he'd be up his ass of Sabag, right, to get playing time, and I would cut the other guy. But I
You're
think
you're
Sabag,
cutting you're cutting the other guy, Jesse Duminil.
yeah, because Lynch.
Oof.
Because no one, like, I know the boys at Win Deals thing, we rag on them, and we did, because they were not that great. But then I think, was it with you? Had this conversation. I think it was where they played like 8 games in 29 days, and they
Yeah,
were sort of in
yeah.
playoff mode because they were kind of like
Yeah.
straggling along and kind of not hibernating, but they didn't
They
really
were
get going. Then
dogging it,
finally
yeah.
put together, got hot at the right time, and they ran the
Yep.
table and won. Right, so.
Yep.
this is a team now with Sabag and Lynch, man. Like, who do you throw to? You can't throw to these guys because they're going to kill you. And then you think about Sabag as a quarterback, he'll kill you with his ingenuity that he has. So I think he's the guy I start, and Lynch is the guy that I bench, but I think he gets playing time.
Okay. I see your arguments, but there's just something about Jesse Duminiel, such a smart player, and I think that gives him the slight edge. He's just as may not be as athletic as the Marcus Lynch is, right? But he's right on that notch below. So definitely, he's a player that I've had an eye out for. Definitely one of the better two-way. All three, and it was done on purpose. Of course, these are three of the best two-way players in Division 5B. But I would start Jesse Duminiel. I do like what William Sabag has done at the quarterback position, but I would have to sit Marcus Lynch and cut William Sabag. But of course, you're pulling hairs on this exercise here. Mokan, thank you for saving the show.
As
Literally,
usual.
as you were taking your own breath away to start the show. You were taking my breath away as I was trying to, buy some 20 minutes worth of time today on all the shows. But thank you once again, Mokan, for joining us here. And then again, just to reiterate some of the introduction points here. Take a look at the playoff schedule as it is now available for everyone's viewing and booking it in the calendars. Again, just a little asterisk on that, as Mo presented in the part 1 of Week 8's Calling the Audible, that we will notify if ever some of those playoff dates do change. We will notify the teams that are affected, but you can otherwise book those in your calendar. And then, of course, you need those 5 games for playoff eligibility. And Mo, I brought it up as an early warning, just to get it out there from now on, but that a forfeit loss or a forfeit, if you do not show up to your last game of the season, that automatically removes you from playoff contention.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
again, I know we're in late stages of February here, and the playoffs are like mid-April or so. But I just wanted to get that notice out there so that if you're making plans now, that you definitely do not want to be forfeiting and not showing up to your last game of the season.
Oh, yeah. You don't want to do that. I mean, it could really, really put this whole upside down of the playoff schedule that we have. So just show up, play your game out, and see what happens, and go from there. Because people pay to play, guys. Like, think about it, man. You pay to play. Like, why would you want to waste money? And then on top of that, everyone knows, right? If you no show, you're fined.
Yeah.
You're fined $100, 150, whatever it is, right? So
It's costing you, yeah.
it's
twice.
costing even more money. So this go out, play. And even if you don't have enough guys, just show up to the field. Hey, look, if you know you're not going to playoffs, show up, play the game, pick some guys out. Yeah, it'll be a forfeit, but just play the game, guys. That's what everyone wants to do, and especially for playoff spots going towards the final 6-7 weeks of the season.
Magic words, please.
But before we do that, I sent you and our Lord and Savior Rob Campana.
Oh yes.
The email
A format, yes.
format. Check it out.
A format. Yeah.
Well detailed, by the way. That's why it took me a little bit longer. I said, I asked you what time am I on, and I'm like, okay, let me get this crap all set up for you guys to read up and broken down step by step. I think it's going to work. I think it's going to bring excitement. I think it's going to be fun. It's the spot to be. The MoCon playoff format. Stay tuned for that. It's going to come out. Magic words. Good night. I don't know.
Oh.
NBA All-Star game.